What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I have some Obstagoon gameplay to showcase. Obstagoon is a pick that I've seen a lot of people use, have some success with as well, and I wanted to see how it would work myself. It's a great core breaker. It's also one of the best answers in the game to Steelix, which after using it yesterday, I felt like making things right with the world. Instead of using it, I'll counter it today. So let's take a look at the gameplay, see what Obstagoon can do, and see what it's like in the Go Battle League. Alright, getting on into game number 1 here, we're going to see our Obstagoon into a Jellicent. We have a Dark and Normal type Pokemon. It'll resist Ghost type damage so heavily. Yes, it must be a massive core breaker. This was actually our first game of the night. This was literally the first match that I played with Obstagoon, so a bit of a good start, if I do say so myself. Our first real game, though, is going to be against a Mandibuzz. This is another decent lead for us, but it's not really great either way. We have a lot of fast move pressure. We resist the Dark-type damage, so we are forcing them here to throw Aerials against us. It doesn't do that much damage, as you can see, but Mandibuzz generally does have Steel types in the back, so I want to keep my Obstagoon around in the back in case I need it. We'll also catch an Aerial Ace here. They have to throw Ace against our Dark-type Pokemon, obviously, so catching the move, wasting a little bit of their energy is obviously very good for us. And here is a Registeel. So they are very strong against our Mantine here. It's not the best thing for our Mantine to see, but we do have Water Pulse, so unlike the Ice Beam variant of Mantine, we at least have a little bit of play with our charge moves. Our fast moves aren't doing any damage to them, so we'll just try to whittle this down as much as possible, come back in with Obstagoon, and see what their third is going to be. We're going to let this go. Unless they get like a massive Zap Cannon undercharge here, they won't have much energy coming out of this. So I can just build up a little bit more energy on Goon, go for a Night Slash, try to boost potentially, and then knock out this Registeel, see what comes in, and maybe have some play in the back with our Gligar. We get the counter down. Mandibuzz is almost certainly going to come back in here. We can throw the Cross Chop. And if they shield this, if they let it go, we'll just have to play it by ear, see what they want to do. Cross Chop actually gets shielded, which makes me think, yeah, it's probably going to be a Steel type in the back. I was thinking maybe Empoleon, but this is a Shadow Magnezone. So it's a good thing they didn't farm down my Mantine with it. Obviously, Mantine would not want to see either Registeel or Magnezone, but I think I would rather see our Mantine against that Registeel. So it's also a pretty good matchup here with our Gligar, obviously. We have Dig, we have Energy Lead, we have a Shield advantage as well. We can just go straight for the Digs here, try to get them off before this Magnezone can build up too much extra energy, and we're going to throw yet another Dig against this Magnezone. At this point, we have 2 shields, we have a ton of energy on our Obstagoon, and we also can likely get a ton of damage off with our Gligar here, right? I want to shield this up because even though Obstagoon is a decent answer into Mandibuzz, the fact that I have a Shadow Pokemon here, it's going to do a lot more damage than the non-stab fighting type move that my Obstagoon can throw. Aerial Ace comes through from them. We're going to throw an Aerial Ace of our own here, put them very low, and then probably just swap to our Obstagoon to finish off the game by throwing a Cross Chop into this Mandibuzz. Cross Chop was somewhat recently buffed. I haven't really ever used Obstagoon, at least not since that buff, so it actually does a sizable amount of damage here, enough to basically knock them out. We put them into 1 counter range, get the knockout there, and take the win against the Mandibuzz lead. Alright, next matchup, we're going to see our Obstagoon lead into a Shadow Dragonite. This isn't a fantastic lead, but unlike a lot of fighters, we can actually kind of 2-shield through a Dragonite if we really wanted to. We can go for the Night Slash here. We do survive a Dragon Claw as well at this range. They'd have to go for like a superpower to win the Zero Shield matchup, and we can likely get to 2 moves. Oh, we actually get a boost. Probably one of the few boosts you're going to see today. We didn't get too many of them, at least not too many impactful ones, but we're just going to no-shield this here because I know that my Obstagoon has already done quite a bit, right? We got a shield, we got a lot of damage with our counter fast attack, and then we get this Night Slash off yet again. So even though we got a boost, this is probably not the most impactful boost. Double boost. Okay, that's a bit of a waste of luck there, but yeah, that's probably not the most impactful boost of our life, because I would have played out that matchup the same anyway. Just let my Obstagoon go down, try to whittle down this Dragonite in the lead, and then use our Gligar in the back, hopefully, to sweep the backline. I know that normally they have Registeel as one of their 2 Pokemon in the back. Maybe it's a fighter, maybe it's something else. What is going to come in is obviously that Registeel. We'll safe swap our Shadow Gligar and cause yet another top left here with our Obstagoon team. Alright, next matchup, we're going to see our Obstagoon lead into a Steelix. This is exactly where it wants to be. We absorb almost every moveset that Steelix could run. You know, normally right now they're running Crunch and Psychic Fangs, so that charge move pressure is going to go absolutely nowhere. They do safe swap a Deoxys Defense. We don't have a hard answer to this. So I just come in with my Shadow Gligar, try to get the chip damage with our Dig, and the thing about this is they have to start throwing Psycho Boosts if they want to do any sort of sizable damage to me, so that means they're going to have to start debuffing themselves pretty early in this matchup. Psycho Boost does come through here. We're going to take it pretty easily. Maybe I should have shielded that, because the first Psycho Boost obviously does do the most damage, but we'll let this one go. We'll try to build up a little bit of extra energy here, throw on CMP so we don't have to waste any of our Gligar, or at least any of our shields here on our Gligar. We get the Aerial Ace through. It does get knocked out. They're not going to try to 2-shield through us, which honestly, after those debuffs, they probably couldn't. Steelix is almost certainly going to come back in. We probably can't get to a Dig. I'd like it if we could, but We still have our Obstagoon we can come in with, absorb the energy. They save swap their Shadow Victory Belt, and we have a Mantine for this in the back. Mantine is a fantastic counter to this. They just go for a Leaf Blade. I think I was a little bit worried in the moment that if they do try to go for Acid Spray, maybe they could shield through this. But since they threw a Leaf Blade and we don't need to throw any moves to farm this all the way down, we can just start throwing Water Pulses against this Steelix. We almost have 2, right? We're 2 wing attacks off the next. So as long as we can survive 2 more Dragon Tails here, we should be fine, and we should be able to get to the move. We survive 1, we'd survive that second one, we get this Water Pulse through, and if they shield this, it's just a lost game for them still, right? We have our Obstagoon that can come in, absorb the energy, as long as it's not running Earthquake, even if it is, just shield up the move anyway. They're never going to get to a bait and an Earthquake here, so I'm pretty safe to just shield up whatever they throw, go for the Frost Chops as soon as I can, and then see what they want to do. Looks like they are throwing a move here. I'm just going to shield this, to be safe. I don't want to take any risks that an Earthquake's going to knock us out. It is a Psychic Fangs, so a good bait if they actually were running, an Earthquake or maybe Heavy Slam, something like that. But we throw the move here. We're going to get the knockout against the Steelix and take the match. A very great game. Another game that kind of shows why Obstagoon is just so strong. It is a great answer to those Steel types. All right, next matchup here against a Shadow Quagsire lead. Obstagoon's also pretty good in a lot of these neutral scenarios, right? Obstagoon has Counter, which is a great fast attack, has Night Slash, which is a very quick charging move, and Obstagoon, unlike Annihilate or some of those other Pokemon, it actually does get stabbed, so it does a sizable amount of damage here. As you can see, we're already putting this Quagsire below half health, and we do win CMP in this matchup, so they can't go for a Stone Edge. They'd have to go, just for the double Aqua Tail in the Zero Shield matchup there, but they do instantly swap out after throwing that move into their Shadow Dragonair. We can trip this down with Night Slash. They do shield it, because Shadow Dragonair, it's very squishy. If they didn't shield that, I'd be able to basically fast move them down with whatever else I'd want to bring in. So they do shield. They're playing it a little bit safe here. We don't have Ice Beam, so we'll just go for the Aerial Ace. I want to land this. I want to get this Dragonair low, so that way I'm not going to have to worry about it with my backline. We do get it to land. It puts it very low, and at this point I know the only way I lose this game is if they have a really bad answer for my my Gligar in the back. The best way that I can guarantee the win is by actually letting my Mantine go down, getting an energy lead myself with my Shadow Gligar here, and then trying to throw Aerial Aces, shield up the Aqua Tail, obviously, throw the Aerial Aces before this Quagsire is going to be able to reach another move, and have as much energy as possible for whatever the third might be. We've seen a Shadow Quagsire, we've seen a Shadow Dragonair, so a bit of a squishy team already. Maybe they have something bulkier in the back, maybe not. They actually have a Shadow Charizard. That is not bulky, that's about as squishy as it gets, but a very fun team, honestly. I kind of like that. We have 2 Aerial Aces loaded on our Shadow Gligar. If they let one go, we'll be able to fast move them down. If they shield it, then we have back-to-back here. So we'll just throw the next one here, and it will either knock out or put them so low we can just fast move them down before they get to a move. Looks like it's just about enough to knock out. We'll just, for fun, swap into our Obstagoon to try to counter the sound, shield up this move, and this game should be over. They do go for the Blast Burn there, but we counter them down, take the win against the Shadow Charizard team. All right, next matchup here, we're going to see our Obstagoon and Goodra. I was talking about this earlier with that Quagsire matchup. In these sorts of neutral matchups, Obstagoon's actually very strong. I can get to a Night Slash before they can get to an Aqua Tail, and the 2 Night Slashes will actually knock them out in the Zero Shield matchup before they're going to be able to get to 2 moves. So we're going to reach for the second Night Slash. Obviously no boost there. We can no shield a move. Even if they're running Power Whip, it's not going to do that much, but I'm assuming an Aqua Tail's coming through. Yeah, look how much health we still have. If they don't shield this Night Slash here, they're just going to get knocked out on their Goodra, and they're going to have almost nothing to show for it. Our Obstagoon's still healthy enough that it's in a range where we still have play with it into the backline. They end up shielding that. I'm fine just taking shield advantage now. Normally Goodra on these teams are probably one of their better answers to a Shadow Gligar, so if I get an energy lead here, then it should be in a very favorable spot. We have shield advantage, we have energy lead, and a Shadow Gligar. That's actually a regular Gligar, my bad. A regular Gligar comes in. We can start chipping it down here. If this is their answer to Shadow Gligar, then I think I might want to save it for the back. I save an Aerial Ace just in case we need it. We don't know what their third Pokemon is just yet. There might be a chance our Mantine has play into it. Maybe it's something weak to flying. That's why they didn't want to bring that into Gligar, and that's why they're staying in here. They're dumping a lot of energy into me, so I want my Mantine to hopefully have energy if they end up swapping out. I haven't thrown a move yet, and are they going to swap? Are they going to stay in? They are going to stay in for a bit, but they do make a catch. What was that? That was a Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is not exactly the best answer to Mantine, but honestly, it's in a pretty good spot at this point. I'm pretty low on both my Pokemon. This is a very bulky Pokemon. The only thing I have going for me is an energy lead and a shield lead, but they have a health lead on both of their 2 Pokemon. I don't have that Gligar knocked out yet, too, so we have to keep that in mind, and they have energy loaded. They didn't throw all of their energy at our Mantine before swapping out. They throw a move here, probably just an Aerial Ace. I'll no-shield this. I know that my damage this game is going to come from my Shadow Gligar here. If I can put this into range where one Aerialist will knock out with the wing attack damage I have here, I'll be in a pretty good spot. They bait me with Aerialist of their own, and I'm almost at the back-to-back moves here. If they let this go and it knocks out, then we just instantly win the game. If they let it go and they survive on 1 HP, that's really bad. It knocks out. We have an energy lead going into the Gligar. We can get to the back-to-back moves here. They're not at back-to-back moves themselves, so we can easily win this game by throwing these 2 Aerialists before they can get to their 2, and we'll take the match with our Shadow Gligar in the back after Obstagoon gave us such a huge lead in the beginning. Alright, Obstagoon lead. This time, yet again, a Shadow Dragonite. These are always a little bit awkward. We don't have a lot of fast move pressure here because counter is obviously resisted by flying types, and it also is a very squishy Pokemon here, though. That means that their Dragon Breath pressure is going to be doing a lot of damage to us. So it's kind of tricky. I do like playing out the Zero Shield here, though. If this is a superpower, it knocks us out. Honestly, it's a crazy play if it is, but I respect them if they throw it, and it actually is a superpower. They must know that Obstagoon does win that matchup pretty hard if they don't go for it, so makes sense to throw it. I'm going to come with my Gligar here. They're throwing energy, staying in a little bit, and they're debuffed on their attack and their defense, so that's fine by me. They come in with a Shadow Poliwrath. They don't want to let me farm down their Dragonite, but by doing that, it means that I can build up a lot of energy here, throw a Shadow Aerialist into this Poliwrath, and then absorb all of the energy that we can with our Mantine. We make a nice catch on this Icy Wind, which is not going to do very much damage, but the bad thing is we will be switch-locked with a debuff with our Mantine. If anything comes in that can just farm us down, this could be a little bit bad, but if that Dragonite comes in, we'll be in a good spot. They actually have a Venusaur in the back, so they're kind of double weak to flying in the back with their Poliwrath and their Venusaur. We can start spamming out charge moves. We might be debuffed, but this is still super effective. It's going to do a lot of damage here. We have back-to-back moves, so we're in a pretty good spot. At this point, if they ever throw energy here, I'll just let my Mantine go. I know that my Gligar has a lot more damage. We're debuffed here, right? So just having the Shadow Aerialists that are not debuffed will do a lot more damage. Same with the wing attacks. If the Dragonite ever comes in, just throw a move against it to knock it out. And if the Venusaur stays in, just wing attack them down. Shield this move, obviously. They're not going to be able to get to another one before we'll fast move them down. And as I said, if I see that Dragonite ever come in, just throw the move. Try to knock it out as soon as possible. And this team was actually a little bit weak to Ice type in the lead, right? We saw Venusaur and we saw a Shadow Dragonite. Maybe I should run an Ice type at this point in this match. I saw a team earlier as well that was triple weak to it. It might have been that Goodra team that we just fought with, what was it, like a Gligar and a Mantine, or Mandibuzz, rather, backline. So yeah, that's an interesting team by them. Alright, a Goodra lead. We saw how good this lead can be, so they also probably know that. They safe swap their Poliwrath. Yet another just instant top left. I've been getting these a ton with this team. If you want to speedrun GBL, I guess this is the team to do it with. Alright, Typhlosion. This is a bit tricky just because we have a lot of neutral play into each other. I need to make sure I time my moves properly against a 5-turn attack like that. But they do swap out here, so I don't really know what they're trying to do. They did swap out with the Thunder Punch loaded. We'll have to keep that in mind. But I can absorb all the energy on my Mantine here, make it so if they want to start shielding, that's fine by me. That Typhlosion down shields is pretty useless for them. And my Gligar isn't really weak to it either. I don't really have a Typhlosion weakness on this team. The only way I'm weak to Typhlosion is if I go down shields and I let them get a huge energy lead. So we're just going to try to guarantee that we get a shield from them here. The Water Pulse will take a shield, and we can probably get to an Aerialist here if they let us, but they do throw right when we get to the Aerialist. They did not want to take that chip damage. Makes sense, so we let that go down. We have a lot of energy on our Goon. We'll just want to take this thing out, right? If we can take this out, we'll take the shield advantage, and we can hopefully have some sort of play in the back with that Typhlosion. And we'll just throw another move, Night Slash. It's a strong move, but it's not a great move, right? It doesn't do a ton of damage, so we'll have to throw both of these here. No boosts, unfortunately, and it's a Charm and Ninetales in the back. That is absolutely abysmal for us to see. We have two very squishy Pokemon. Well, Obstagoon's not squishy, but it's weak to Charm, and then we have a Shadow Gligar as the third, so I don't know how we're going to take this out. I need to take out this Typhlosion, but I also need an energy lead for that A9 when it comes back in, because I know that I need to get moves against it. So we're going to build up a lot more energy here. Shield the Thunder Punch, I guess. We kind of have to shield something, right? Throw this move at one wing attack. Make sure we don't take that Incinerate damage if we can help it. And if they no-shield this, try to spam out moves against that A9 as much as possible. I can get to 2 Aerialists or an Aerialist plus a Dig. If they no-shield this first move, we'll try to get another Aerialist off because we want to take that shield, make it so that our Obstagoon can throw a cross-chop against this. I know I'm still outside of range where Weather Ball would knock me out, and we're not going to be able to even take it if we just swap in, do one counter, throw this cross-chop. We should be able to take the game with our Dark type beating the Charm user here. Good stuff, Obstagoon. That was a tricky matchup with that Shadow A9 in the back, but we were able to take it. Let's go. All right, Obstagoon lead into a Steelix. Another pretty decent lead for us here. This is obviously going to be something that's going to instantly swap out of this matchup, and they come in with a Charmer. As I was saying, we don't have a hard Charm resist with this whole team, but at least this time we have our Mantine into it. This is our bulkiest Pokemon. It can spam out moves against it, and we're not really that scared of that Steelix in general, so if they do end up flipping Switch Advantage, that's fine by me, as long as shields go down. That's why I shielded up that first Weather Ball. I want to make sure shields are down so I can land nukes against it. They end up no-shielding. They know that if their shields are down, I can Water Pulse them, or maybe dig them in the back. So they're probably going to try to just leverage all the energy and all the shields with their third Pokemon. We see it's actually a Thunderfang Steelix. That's not Dragon Tail. That is a little bit scary for us, but we can throw this Water Pulse still before getting knocked out. It's going to do a lot of damage. We come in with our Obstagoon, and we see their third Pokemon is an Escavalier. This is an extremely spicy team, but we have Gligar in the back. Gligar can not only absorb all of the damage from this, but since that's a Thunderfang Steelix, that's not going to have any fast move pressure into us. We can get to the 2 Aerial Aces before they could get to 2 moves. We can take the match here and easily close out that game with our Shadow Gligar. Alright, Obstagoon lead into a Shadow Poliwrath. It doesn't get much worse than this. This is probably one of the worst leads you can get. Besides like Deoxys or maybe a Charmuser, these leads are not the best. This is not the hardest answer though to Shadow Gligar. Maybe I can get some sort of advantage out of this. I'm going to try to call the baits and nukes properly here. A lot of Mantine do go for Aerial Ace baits, but some go straight for the nuke here. I shield up the Water Pulse. It is properly shielded. That means that if I can do that again, I might be able to flip Switch Advantage here. It's always a tricky call whether or not to do it, but I know I have to be on point if I want to do it. We are going to see another move come through here. I'll shield it again. It is yet another Water Pulse. At this point, they can land an Aerial Ace on me if they really want to, but they're not going to be able to knock me out. I'll get Switch Advantage. We CMP on the Aerial Ace here. If they shield this, that's totally fine by me. I don't get knocked out by this move from them, and I have back-to-back moves myself. This means I'll get Switch Advantage, and I won't even have to go down shields for it. Aerial Ace comes through, it barely doesn't knock us out rather, and this is amazing. That means that whatever comes in is not going to get a huge farm down on us, and we can probably leverage advantage with our Obstagoon and with our Mantine into whatever comes in. Is a Skuntank, a non-Shadow Skuntank, a bit of a scary pick to see if they can make some play where they catch moves, or if they have Sludge Bomb here, that can do a lot of raw damage to my Obstagoon. We land the first Cross Chop, it gets it pretty low, and I'm expecting a catch to happen here, so I don't throw the move immediately. They swap to their Shadow Poliwrath. We have our Mantine here that can absorb all of its damage. Unfortunately, we do get denied from that frame drop there, but that's not really going to matter. Our Mantine is such a strong answer to this. We can still get to these Aerial Aces here. We can probably farm up, maybe even farm them all the way down, so we'll have an Aerial Ace to go against that Skuntank. As long as we don't get knocked out here, we should be in a very good spot. We get the full farm down, we have the Ace loaded. They'd have to crunch us if they want to knock us out first, and even if they do, there's a chance we might survive it if they throw the crunch. We survive it just barely. We get the Aerial Ace off. Even if we didn't survive that move, we had a Cross Chop loaded on our Obstagoon. We can take the game here with our Mantine, closing out the match. Alright, our next matchup here, we're going to see an Obstagoon lead into another Shadow Steelix. I was telling you guys, Shadow Steelix, it was going to be common today. I made the video on it yesterday, so I figured I didn't want to be weak to it tonight. So the Night Slash is going to be thrown against this Shadow Gligar. It's a pretty safe swap into my team, but by chipping it out and then dipping into my own Shadow Gligar, I should be able to keep Switch Advantage no matter what. I also win CMP here, which is amazing. It means that I can hopefully make them make the decision first if they want to shield or not. They no shield. They survive on 1 HP. This is probably the worst case scenario for me. Them surviving that move means that they can get 2 Aerial Aces off pretty easily here. Probably force me to shield before they have to. The one saving grace is that dig from my Gligar will either take a shield or do a hefty amount of damage to that Shadow Steelix when it comes back in. So even though that's annoying that I had to shield that move, it's not going to be the end of the world. We can still get a lot of use out of our Shadow Gligar here into this matchup, but they probably won't shield it. They'll probably try to leverage everything they can into their third Pokemon. And the third Pokemon is going to be the Serperior, so a bit of a tricky matchup down shields and down energy. We're going to come with Mantine. It can absorb a Frenzy Plant, but we want to shield the first one. It's almost certainly not going to be a bait on the first move, so just force them to throw straight Frenzy Plant from here on out. We can go for the Aerial Ace. We have back-to-back, but that energy lead that they have means that they can start outpacing us here to these moves. I'll throw my first one, very likely going to get shielded. I'll try to throw my second one. They win CMP here, and this is a little bit tricky. At least my wing attacks are putting them into range where my Obstagoon could potentially deal with them later on, but that Steelix is still alive. They have a move loaded, so if they want to try to combo play me at some point, they can. They can definitely try to combo play me and make it so that my Mantine is a little bit useless. I throw the Aerial Ace. They make a catch. I think their Steelix is just out of range where this would knock out, which is so sad. It means that they can probably get this move off on 1 HP. I get that wing attack through. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have. I should have let this move go through and not knocked out that Steelix. That way, I could have got 1 counter lead. Luckily, we still get 1 counter through here. We need to take 2 moves to get knocked out. I think my Obstagoon can get to the Night Slash here before they can get the move. It's on CMP. We get the Night Slash after the Wing Attack chip. This should be more than enough to knock out the Serperior and barely close out the lead. That was so good for us at Steelix. It was a fantastic lead, but the backline was a little bit tricky. All right, next matchup here. Obstagoon lead into a Dedenne. This is terrible. This is a huge core breaker for us. We have a Mantine in the back that would lose even harder than Obstagoon does somehow to this. I just have to stay in. I have to hope that we can boost our way through this matchup. We're going to go for the Night Slash. We do get the boost, so that's step number one. But the thing is, this is still resisting all of the damage that we're throwing at it here, right? They can go for Play Roughs. They can try to bait with Discharge potentially. We shield up the first move. It is a Play Rough, so we shielded up that properly, and we're going to build up as much energy as we can here. A Night Slash might not have knocked them out yet, so throwing energy before now would have just been kind of a waste. They do bait us this time with Discharge, but we do have back-to-back moves. We can probably take both shields here if they want to try to double shield their way through this matchup, or maybe we can get switch advantage if they let it go. They shield up the first move, so it probably means they're going to try to shield up the second move. Night Slash comes through, and it is going to get shielded. It's unfortunate. We could have maybe won this matchup if we got like a double boost instantly. Then we could have countered them down by now, but I shouldn't be complaining. We got a boost, right? We can at least neutralize this Dedenne, so it's not going to be a huge problem for us. They do get to a move here. Hopefully it's just a Discharge. If it's a Play Rough, our Gligar is going to take a ton of damage. A Discharge isn't going to do that much to us. It's going to chip us down, though, into range where this Shadow Gligar from the opponent has a lot of play into us. We get answered by a Pharaoh when we try to make a catch with our Mantine. This isn't the best thing to see, but if they're not running Thunder, there might be a chance that we can leverage some sort of advantage this game. We can go for these aerials and spam them out as much as possible. If they don't have Thunder, I think we have a chance here. They have an Electric type lead, so is this going to be another Pokemon with an Electric type attack? We'll just have to see. They're building up a lot of energy. If they Thunder me here, I'll have to throw energy with my Gligar as soon as I can. If not, then I can probably get to another Aerialise here, or maybe force them to throw even more energy at me. Looks like that's going to be the case. They have to throw energy against my Mantine, and now I know what I have to do. I have to overfarm perfectly with my Shadow Gligar, try to make it so I have some sort of play into their opposing Shadow Gligar here. Throw right before they get that next move. Make it so that Bullet Seed does not deal the damage because I threw it right before it would register. We get that Aerialise through. If we can get to 2 Aerialises here, we are at it now. Can we survive their ace and get the 2 moves off? We basically have to survive this move and 1 fast attack from the opponent. Are we in 1 fast attack range? Can we survive this move? And I guess the more important question, can this Aerialise knock them out from this range? Can the next one, rather? It's going to be very close. We get the next one off. We survive on 1 HP. Shadow Gligar, please let me overcome the Dedenne lead. It's just barely going to knock out. We take the game on 1 HP. Shadow Gligar able to finish out that match. Obstagoon was actually a really fun pick to try out today. I'm glad I decided to give it a go. Even though it has a very big fighting type weakness, it was able to overcome a lot of neutral game scenarios that weren't necessarily the best, and it was also able to overcome some pretty bad matchups. Obstagoon always has that option to boost. It didn't come into play too many times today, but when it did, it really came in big. Alright, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream Pokemon Go PvP nearly every day at twitch.tv/itzaxon, so if you want to see this kind of content live, make sure to check me out there. I'm also planning on uploading a lot more YouTube videos, so if you want to see more content like this on the channel, make sure to subscribe. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Goodbye.